I was strolling on the moon one day in a merry, merry month of December. Now, May, when much to my surprise, a pair of bunny eyes. Do-do-do-do-do.
Okay, everything's nice and straight in here. Okay, can you pull the door open a little more? Right, clear. Okay. Did you get the mesa out? I'm going to pull it now.
Here it goes. Here goes the mesa with the television camera on it. Now is when we'll see pictures.
Houston, the mesa came down, all right. Houston, roger, we copy and we're standing by for your TV.
Aldrin will now turn the television camera on.
This is Neil, radio check. Neil, this is Houston, loud and clear. Break. Buzz, this is Houston, radio check and verify TV circuit breaker in. Roger, TV circuit breaker's in. Page 5 clear. Roger.
And here's the picture.
And we're getting a picture on the TV. You got a good picture, huh? There's a great deal of contrast in it, and currently it's upside down on our monitor, but we can make out a fair amount of detail. Okay, would you verify the position, the opening I ought to have on the camera? Stand by.
There is Armstrong. You can see him moving.
Okay, Neil, we can see you coming down the ladder now. Neil, we can see you coming. Okay, I just checked. Getting back up to that first step. That isn't collapsed too far, but it's adequate to get back up. Roger, we copy. It's a pretty good little jump. Buzz, this is Houston. F2, 1/160th second for shadow photography on the sequence camera. Okay. I'm at the foot of the ladder. The LEM footbeds are only depressed in the surface about 1 or 2 inches, although the surface appears to be very, very fine-grained as you get close to it. It's almost like a powder. Ground mass is very fine.
There he is, putting his foot out. You can see him leaning on it. You can just make out the backpack and the dark circle of the visor in front of it.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. surface is fine and powdery. I can pick it up loosely with my toe. It does adhere in fine layers, like powdered charcoal, to the sole and sides of my boot. I only go in a fraction of an inch, maybe an eighth of an inch, but I can see the footprints of my boots and the treads in the fine sandy particles.
Neil, this is Houston. We're copying.
And he's moved off the footpad. It looks as if he's moved off the footpad and coming towards the camera. Beginning those exercises.
There seems to be no difficulty in moving around as we suspected. It's even perhaps easier than the simulations of 16G that we performed in various simulations on the ground. Absolutely no trouble to walk around. Okay, the descent engine did not leave a crater of any size. It has about 1 foot clearance on the ground. We're essentially on a very level place here. I can see some evidence of rays emanating from the descent engine, but very insignificant amount. Okay, Buzz, we ready to bring down the camera?
I'm all ready. I think it's 2 miles squared away in good shape.
Okay.
Okay, you'll have to pay out all the LEC. It looks like it's coming out nice and evenly.
Okay, it's quite dark here in the shadow and a little hard for me to see that I have good footing. I'll work my way over into the sunlight here without looking directly into the sun.
Okay, it's taut now.
Unofficial time on the first step, 109.2420.
Okay, I think you're pulling the wrong one.
I'm ready to pull it down now. There was still a little bit left in the...
Okay, don't hold it quite so tight.
Okay?
Okay.
Looking up at the limb, I'm standing directly in the shadow now, looking up at Buzz in the windows. And I can see everything quite clearly. The light is sufficiently bright, backlighted into the front of the limb, that everything is very clearly visible.
And there you can just see the camera package coming down now, that whitish blob moving across the...
Okay, I'm going to be changing the...
Okay.
And he has the camera. They're working in the shadow of the lunar module.
The surgeon says that
Camera installed on the ICU bracket.
The camera's installed
surgeon
on his
says
chest.
the crew is doing well. Data is good, crew is doing well.
And I'm still in the LEC on the secondary struts. I'll step out and take some of my first pictures here.
Roger, Neil, we're reading you loud and clear. Let's see, getting some pictures and the contingency sample. .35.5 minutes of PLSS time expended now.
35.5 minutes on the oxygen supplied from that backpack you can see on his back. He's now going to pick up the first sample of moon dirt using a scoop telescopically folded up and in his pocket. When he goes to get it after he takes these photographs, he'll be bending forward to reach into his pocket to pull that telescopic scoop out. He's taking pictures of everything round him.
Neil, this is Houston. Did you copy about the contingency sample? Over.
All right, you're going to get to that just as soon as I finish these picture series.
Taking pictures in a full circle round him. Just in case. Now he's beginning to reach into that pocket to pull out the scoop. The contingency sample that he'll bring back if something goes wrong in the early part of this walk and they have to leave the moon.
Okay, you're going to get the contingency sample there, Neil?
Houston worried that he might take too long to get it. And there in picture now the lunar module ladder, and going into the ladder from the left down to the ladder is one of the struts supporting the leg.
Okay, the contingency sample is down and it's up sample. Like it's a little difficult to dig through the initial crust.
Very interesting. It's a very soft surface, but here and there where I plug with the contingency sample collector, I run into very hard surface, but it appears to be very cohesive material of the same sort. I'll try to get a rock in here. Just a couple.
Everything you've said, Patrick Moore, about the surface seems to be correct.
It looks beautiful from here, Neil.
It has a stark beauty all its own. It's like much of the high desert of the United States. It's different, but it's very pretty out here. Be advised that a lot of the rock samples out here, the hard rock samples, have what appear to be vesicles in the surface. Also, I'm looking at one now that appears to have some sort of phenocryst.
Houston, roger out.
Okay, the handle is off the it pushes in about 6 to 8 inches into the surface. Like it's quite easy to put on.
It is. It's. I'm sure I could push it in farther, but it's hard for me to bend down farther than that.
Now you could throw so
You
far.
can really throw things a long way up here. My pocket open, but
Yes, it is. It's not up against your suit, though. Hit it back once more. More toward the inside. Okay, that's good.
That's the pocket he's going to put the sample into. Down on the thigh of his left leg.
Yeah, push down. Got it? No, it's not all the way in. Push it. There you go.
Contingency sample is in the pocket. My oxygen is 81%. I have no flags, and I'm in minimum flow.
This is Houston, roger Neil.
Okay, I got the camera going at 1 frame a second.
Okay.
And I've got 80%, no flags. Good.
Are you getting a TV picture now, Houston?
Neil, yes, we are getting a TV picture. Neil, this is Houston. We're getting a picture. You're not in at the present time. We can see the bag on the LEC being moved by Buzz, though. Here you come into our field of view.
Oh, sorry. Let me move that over the edge for you.
Okay, ready for me to come out?
Yeah, just stand by a second. I'll move this over the handrail. Okay.
All right, that's got it. Are you ready?
All set. Okay, you saw what difficulties I was having. I'll try to watch your bliss from underneath here.
Armstrong's going to try and guide Aldrin out as he comes backwards through the hatch.
All right, the backup camera is position.
Okay, your bliss looks like it's clear and okay. The toes are about to come over the sill. Okay, now drop your bliss down. There you go, you're clear. And laterally you're good. Got an inch clearance on top of your bliss.
Okay, you need a little bit of arching of the back to come down. How far are my feet from the edge?
Okay, you're right at the edge of the porch.
Okay. Back in from... Small little foot movement. Porch. Arching of the back. Moment comes up and clears the bulkhead without any trouble at all.
Looks good.
"45 minutes PLSS time expended."
Neil, this is Houston. Based on your camera transfer with the LEC, do you foresee any difficulties in SRC transfer over?
Difficulties in SR.
Negative.
That's the sample return containers, the rock boxes that Capcom...
Now I want to back up and partially close the hatch. Making sure not to lock it on my way out.
Particularly good thought.
That's our home for the next couple hours. We want to take good care of it. Okay, I'm on the top step and I can look down over the RCU and landing gear pad. It's a very simple matter to hop down from one step to the next.
Yes, I found it to be very comfortable, and walking is also very comfortable.
There's Aldrin.
You've got 3 more steps and then a long one.
Okay, I'm going to leave that 1 foot up there and both hands down about the 4th rung up.
There you go.
He dropped.
Okay, now I think I'll do the same.
A little more. About another inch. There, you got it?
That's a good step.
Yep. About a 3-footer.
3-foot jump.
Beautiful view.
Isn't that something? Magnificent sight out here.
Magnificent desolation.
Both PLSS is nominal on consumables.
Looks like the secondary strut. Have little thermal effects on it right here, Neil.
Yeah, I noticed that. Seems to be the worst, although similar effects are on all around.
Powder is very, very fine powder, isn't it?
Isn't it fine?
Right in this area, I don't think there's much of any, but fine powder. Sometimes clouds together, and it's hard to tell whether it's a clod or a rock.
Notice how you can pick it out.
Yeah, and it bounces, and then
Armstrong in the background, jumping up and down.
pushing down. Fairly easy. Get my suit dirty at this stage. backpack does have some effect in inertia. There's a slight tendency I can see now to backwards due to the soft, very soft texture.
Oh, you're standing on a rock, big rock there now.
The patcher didn't.
No, it didn't.
There's absolutely no crater there at all from the engine.
No?
I wonder if that right under the engine is where probe might hit. I like that.
Yeah, I think that's a good representation of our sideward velocity of touchdown. That folded the probe.
I'll see that probe over on the minus Y strut. Broken off and bent back up.
That did, didn't it? The other two boats bent over.
Can't say too much for the visibility right here without the visor up. Pretty dark. It looks like there's a surface of a flat, rounded rock. And incidentally, these rocks, very powdery surface.
Say again, please, Buzz. You're cutting out.
And here's some...
I say that the rocks are rather slippery.
Roger.
Very powdery surface. When it's on there, it fill up all the very little fine porises. They'll tend to slide over it rather easily.
Neil Armstrong getting ready to move the TV camera now out to its panorama position.
Traction seems quite good. Particular area. Start to lose my balance in one direction, and recovery is quite natural and very easy. And moving arms around, Jack doesn't off the surface. Not quite that light-footed.
And I have the insulation off the mesa now. The mesa seems to be in good shape.
You have to be careful that you're leaning in the direction you want to go, otherwise you slightly inebriate. In other words, you have to cross your foot over to stay underneath where your center of mass is. Hey Neil, didn't I say we might see some purple rocks?
Find a purple rock?
Yep. Very small, sparkly fragments are rock. They're reflecting sun in places. I would make a first guess at some sort of biotite. No, well, you don't sink down more than a quarter of an inch.
Biotite is a brown mica substance.
Okay, Houston, I'm going to change lenses on you.
Roger, Neil.
Yeah, a moment while Neil Armstrong changes the lens on the television camera to a wide-angle lens that
Life support consumables still looking good.
when he takes it out to its distant position, we'll get a wide view of everything that's going on. That's what's happening now. He's changing the lens.
Okay, Houston, tell me, get a new picture.
Neil, this is Houston. That's affirmative. We're getting a new picture. You can tell it's a longer focal length lens. And for your information, all LEM systems are go. Over. For your information, all LEM.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Is now unveiling the plaque that is.
Roger, we got you bore-sighted, but back to one side. Bore-sighted.
For those who haven't read the plaque, we'll read the plaque that's on the front landing gear of this LEM. There's two hemispheres, one showing each of the two hemispheres of Earth. Underneath it says, "Here men from the planet Earth first set foot upon the moon, July 1969 AD. It came in peace for all mankind." It has the crew members' signatures and the signature of the President of the United States. Ready for the camera? I'll get it.
No, you're taking the TV, I know.
Touch the LEC there.
I'm afraid these lost materials are going to get dusty. The surface material powdery. I don't know how good your lens is, but if you can touches, that gloves.
See the smudges on the end of his fingers.
Very much like a very finely powdered carbon, but pretty looking.
You pull out some of my cable for me, Buzz?
Television camera cable being pulled out.
Houston, how close are you able to get things in focus?
This is Houston. We can see Buzz's right hand. It's somewhat out of focus.
The camera's moving.
I'd say we were focusing down to probably about 8 inches to a foot behind the position of his hand when he was pulling out the cable.
Armstrong now must have the camera in his hand.
Okay, how's the temperature looking there?
Temperature of the camera is showing cold.
I'm a little cool, I think I'll change.
It looks as if we're looking down. The cameras may be pointing down. That looked like a view of his feet walking
I'm
around.
on intermediate Houston, and I show 3.78. No flags, 74.
Houston, roger out.
And we'll probably need a little distance at back location television camera.
And there, the first view of the lunar surface as he carries the camera out to about 30 feet away from the lunar module. The next time they come into vision...
Let's look at the minus Y stress. The direction of travel there. Traveling from right to left. Right. So this one over here underneath the methane engine where the probe first hit. Minus my probe first hit.
Aldrin examining the lunar module.
I got plenty of cable.
You got plenty more. Okay, I think I got the end of it.
Something interesting in the bottom of this little crater here. Maybe.
Keep going. We got a lot more.
Okay.
Getting a little harder to pull out here.
President Nixon is due to speak to the astronauts directly in about 2 minutes.
If you stand on the ladder facing forward, the minus Y strut is the landing gear to your left.
Say I am, Buzz.
40, 50 feet. Why don't you turn around and let them get a view from there and see what the field of view looks like. You're backing into the cable.
Aldrin, the lunar module.
Turn around to your right, you better.
I don't want to go into the sun if I can avoid it.
That's right, yeah.
I just leave it.
All right, let it
Sit
sit
like
there.
that and walk around it.
Houston, how's that field of view going to be? Pick up the mesa far away?
Right. Neil, this is Houston. The field of view is okay. We'd like you to aim it a little bit more to the right, over.
Okay. Okay, that's all the cable we have. All the way out. I'll start working on the shoulder.
A little bit too much to the right. Can you bring it back left about 4 or 5 degrees?
Aldrin there by the lunar module about to bring out the solar wind experiment.
Okay, that looks good, Neil.
Hey, that looks good, Neil.
Okay, now, think I ought to be farther away or closer?
Can't get too much further away.
Let's try it like that for a while. I'll get a couple panoramas with it here.
Roger, you look okay as far as distance goes, Neil, and we'll line you up again when you finish the panorama. You're going too fast on the panorama sweep. You're going to have to stop for...
I haven't stopped. I haven't set it down yet. That's the first picture in the panorama. Right there.
Roger.
The Sea of Tranquility.
It's taken just about northeast. Tell me if you got a picture, Houston.
Well, we've got a beautiful picture, Neil.
Okay, I'm going to move it.
Okay, there's another good one.
Blackness of the sky.
Okay, we've got that one.
Okay, now this one's right down sun, straight west. And I want to know if you can see an angular rock in the foreground.
Roger, we have a large angular rock in the foreground, and looks like a much smaller rock a couple of inches to the left of it. Over.
Right, and then on beyond it about 10 feet is an even larger rock that's very rounded. That rock is about, the closest one to you is about sticking out of the sand about 1 foot. It's about 1.5 feet long, and it's about 6 inches thick, but it's standing on edge.
Roger.
Okay, Neil, I've got the table out. The bag deployed.
We got this view, Neil.
Straight south.
Roger, and we see the shadow of the limb.
In the hills, Roger, the little hill just beyond the shadow of the limb is a pair of elongate craters. About probably the pair together is 40 feet long and 20 feet across, and they're probably 6 feet deep. We'll probably get some more work in there later.
Roger, and we see Buzz going about his work.
How's that for a final?
For a final orientation, we'd like it to come left about 5 degrees. Over. Back to the right about half as much.
Okay.
Okay, that looks good there, Neil.
Yeah, that looks good there. Okay.
One hour, 7 minutes time expended.
The flight plan says 2 hours and 40 minutes. I would guess they'll try to stay a little bit longer.
Okay, you can make a mark, Houston.
Roger, hello, and
incidentally, you can use the shadow that the staff makes to assist you in getting it perpendicular.
Buzz is erecting the solar wind experiment now.
They're about 30 minutes behind schedule.
Some of these small depressions big off, and you tend to think, oh, maybe 2 or 3 inches. I can suggest exactly what the layer pictures showed when they pushed away a little bit. You can see force transmitted through the upper surface of the soil, and about 5 or 6 inches away, it breaks loose and moves as if it were caked on the surface, when in fact it really isn't.
I noticed in the soft spots where we have footprints nearly an inch deep that the soil is very cohesive, and it will retain a slope of probably 70 degrees along the side of the footprint.
Just this side of the leg on the left, the solar wind experiment, and just to the right of the lunar module, what looks like the staff of the flag already erected. Now both men carrying out the inspection of the lunar module.
all limb systems still looking good.
And we've just heard that all over the world there are 33 countries who have stayed up to take these pictures live. Two men now standing down in the shadow of the lunar module to the right.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's nice. Dead end, come on. All right, get the camera. Head up to the rocker. Okay, you'll have to extend that one.
Looks as if they're getting out the tongs to begin this sample collection.
Columbia, this is Houston, AOS, over. Houston, AOS, over.
And here comes Mike Collins, 70 miles up, around from behind the moon, in the command module.
Neil Armstrong's been on the lunar surface now almost 45 minutes.
It's bad. I don't have a camera. Houston, Columbia on the high gain, over.
Columbia, this is Houston, reading you loud and clear, over.
Yeah, this is Houston reading. Yeah, radio loud and clear. How's it going?
Roger, the EVA is progressing beautifully. I believe they're setting up the flag now.
Great.
I guess you're about the only person around that doesn't have TV coverage of the scene.
That's all right. I don't mind a bit. How is the quality of the TV?
Oh, it's beautiful, Mike. It really is.
Oh, geez, that's great. Is the lighting halfway decent?
Yes, indeed. They've got the flag up now, and you can see the stars and stripes on the lunar surface.
Beautiful, just beautiful.
Taking photographs.
It's, see if you can pull that end off a little bit. Straighten that end up a little. It won't go out. Okay.
It looks as if they're having difficulty in getting the staff of the flag into the ground. It does look as if one of them is photographing the other by the flag.
Neil, this is Houston, radio check, over.
Hi, Roger. Houston, loud and clear.
Roger out.
Loud and clear, Houston.
Roger, Buzz.
I'd like to evaluate the various paces that a person can traveling on the Lunar surface. Leave them out of your field of view. Is that right now, Houston?
That's affirmative, Buzz. You're in our field of view now.
You do have to be. All right, you do have to be rather careful to keep track of where your center of mass is. Sometimes it takes about 2 or 3 paces to make sure that you've got your feet underneath you. And about 2 or 3 or maybe 4 easy paces can bring you to a fairly smooth stop. Direction. Like a football player, you just have to put out to the side and cut a little bit. So-called kangaroo hop does work, but it seems though your forward stability is not quite as good as it is in the conventional, more conventional one foot after another. As far as saying what a sane pace might be, I think the one that I'm using now would get rather tiring after several hundred.
Aldrin.
But this may be a function of the scoot as well as lack of gravity force here.
Tranquility Base, this is Houston. Could we get both of you on the camera for a minute, please?
Sounds as if President Nixon wants to talk to the
that, Houston.
Roger, we'd like to get both of you in the field of view of the camera for a minute.
Roger, we'd like to get both of you in the field of view of the camera for a minute.
Neil and Buzz, the President of the United States is in his office now and would like to say a few words to you. Over.
That would be an honor.
Go ahead, Mr. President. This is Houston out.
Hello, Neil and Buzz. I'm talking to you by telephone from the Oval Room at the White House. And this certainly has to be the most historic telephone call ever made. I just can't tell you how proud we all are of what you... For every American, this has to be the proudest day of our lives. And for people all over the world, I am sure they too join with America in recognizing what an immense feat this is. Because of what you have done, the heavens have become a part of man's world. And as you talk to us from the Sea of Tranquility, it inspires us to redouble our efforts to bring peace and tranquility to Earth. For one priceless moment in the whole history of man, all the people on this earth are truly one. One in their pride in what you have done, and one in our prayers that you will return safely to Earth.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's a great honor and privilege for us to be here representing not only the United States, but men of peace of all nations, and with interest and a curiosity and with the vision for the future. Honor for us to be able to participate here today.
And thank you very much, and I look forward, all of us look forward to seeing you on the Hornet on Thursday.
Look forward to that very much, sir.
Columbia, Columbia, this is Houston, over.
Loud and clear, Houston.
Roger, I've got a P-22 auto optics pad for you.
Roger, go ahead.
Gone 1 hour and 22 minutes from the...
Roger, P-22, landmark ID, LEM, T1, 1102656.
And as Houston talks to
T2,
Mike Collins, 70 miles
110,
command module.
32,
On the lunar surface
06.
there, about 1 hour and 23 minutes
3
out.
miles south,
They still have not collected
Time of
a
closest
sample
approach,
of rocks. They
110,
haven't finished their photography of the lunar module
40,
itself, and they haven't begun to carry out the experiment.
353, decimal 855.
At
Swing
this
in,
moment, then, they're approximately 30
4,
minutes
6.
behind time.
decimal 495. Roll 0, pitch 250, yaw 0, over.
Roger, thank you. Read back now required.
Roger, out.
Houston, it's very interesting to note that when I kick my foot this material with no atmosphere here and it's gravity, they seem to leave, and most of them have about the same angle of departure and velocity. As where I stand, the large portion of them will impact at a certain distance out. There are several percentage, of course, that will impact different regions out, but it's highly dependent upon the initial trajectory upwards, determines where most of the priority of the particle come down, right the terrain.
Roger, Buzz, and break, Columbia, this is Houston. When you track out of high gain antenna limits, request Omni Delta, over.
Okay.
Still Aldrin moving around out here towards the
I've
camera.
noticed several times in
Moving
going
away
from
from
the
camera now.
sunlight into shadow that just as I go in, I catch an additional reflection off the lens. Along with the reflection off my face onto the visor, makes visibility very poor just at the transition sunlight into the shadow. I essentially have so much glare coming onto my visor, I'm under shadow until helmet actually gets shadow, and then it takes a short while for my eyes to adapt to lighting conditions. Inside the shadow area, visibility, as we've said before, is not too great, but both visors up. We can certainly get what sort of footprints we have and the minimal condition of the soil. Again, after being out in the sunlight a while, it takes watch it, Neil. Neil, you're on the cable. Okay. Yeah, lift up your right foot. Right foot. It's still, your toe is still hooked in it. That one? Yeah, it's still hooked in it. Wait a minute. Okay, you're clear now. Thank you.
Hong,
Let's move that over this thing.
Neil Armstrong has the scoop for the bulk sample collection.
Picking up that bulk sample now, just about 32 or 33 minutes late. Picking up large scoopfuls in that metal scoop of the surface soil and rock. Armstrong there on the left.
The boot color of my boots have completely disappeared now into this small. Still don't know exactly what color to describe this other than grayish cocoa color. Seems to be covering most of the wider part of the boot. Color that had very fine particles.
Buzz, this is Houston. You're cutting out on the end of your transmission. Can you speak a little more closely into your microphone, over?
Roger, I'll try that.
Beautiful.
Well, I had that one inside my mouth that time.
Sounded a little wet.
Oh, wet.
Neil's been on the surface an hour now. Buzz, not quite 20 minutes less than that.
In general, time spent in the shadow doesn't seem to have any thermal effects. Say we're still inside the suit. There is a difference, of course, in the coming radiation in the helmet, so I think there's a tendency to feel a little cooler in the shadow than we feel out in the sun.
Columbia, this is Houston, over. Columbia, this is Houston, over.
1 hour and a half expended on the PLSSs now.
Columbia, this is Houston, over. Columbia, this is Houston, over.
Houston, Columbia, Delta.
Roger, you should have VHF AOS with the LEM right about now. VHF LOS will be at 40 minutes, 15 seconds, over.
Thank you.
Heart rates on both crewmen averaging between 90 and 100. Flight surgeon reports they're right on the predicted number of the BTU units expended in energy of work. And he thinks they're in great shape.
I look around the area, the contrast in general is comes about completely by virtue of the shadows. Almost deep. Down
There is the clock telling you that they have been on their oxygen, their backpacks, for 1 hour, 32 minutes, 1 hour, 33 minutes, and 2 seconds now. They should be on the lunar surface on those backpacks and back in again by 2 hours and 40 minutes, but at this moment they're running about 30 minutes behind time. And my guess is they'll stay out there as long as they're allowed to, possibly up to just over 3 hours.
Surrounding color is still fairly light as you look down into the sun. But a
For
larger
those of
amount
you who've just tuned in, one of the astronauts
shadow
walking on the
areas
surface
looking
of the
toward
moon.
us. The general color of the Panoramic is darker than raw sun. Contrast is not as great. Surveying the dusty area that we've kicked up, considerably darker in texture. Now, I've picked up one. I imagine that this has been out by certain impacts that we've that's a distinct surveyor. The same is true if I survey cross sun along the area that we've been walking. General, is to the fact that there are footprints there. General terrain where I've been up out of this surface trail is generally of a darker contrast in color.
Going out there with the scoop to collect more bulk samples of the soil, the surface soil, scooping it up with that metal scoop. He then takes it back to the bag which should be hanging on the lunar module, almost in the center of it as you look at it now, hanging off one of those cross struts. plastic bag into which he puts the sample. And they're back in to dump the sample he's collected.
You can see Neil Armstrong bringing scoop.
Panorama I'll be taking is about 30 to 40 feet out to bus. But
Say again, which strut, please, Buzz?
So it seems the plus V strut.
Roger.
And, right in this area there are two craters. The one that's right in front of me now as I look off in about the 11 o'clock position from spacecraft, about 30 to 35 feet across, and several rocks and boulders 6, 8 inches across, different sizes.
The voice of Buzz Aldrin, who is not in the picture.
Neil is filling the bulk sample bag attached to a scale. You can see him in the picture. Buzz is behind the lamb at the minus Z strut.
Round behind the lunar module, that's why we can't see it.
That's the landing gear directly opposite the ladder.
If you look carefully just below the flag, to the other side of the lunar module, in that patch you can see just the other side, to the right of the lunar module, inside the strut, I think you can just see Aldrin's shadow moving. Both astronauts busy now working, possibly trying to catch up the 25 or 30 minutes they were behind schedule.
Neil's been on the surface about an hour and 10 minutes now.
I'm now in the area of the minus Y strut. Taking some second photographs.
Buzz is making his way around the lamb, photographing it from various angles, looking at its condition on all sides. Neil's still occupied with the bulk sample.
Armstrong, you can just see in the shadow there, this side of the lunar module, weighing the samples of soil and bringing them back and putting them into that plastic bag.
One hour, 40 minutes time expended on the PLSSs now.
PLSS, Portable Life Support System, backpack. You can see there in the back.
How's the bulk sample coming, Neil?
Bulk sample is just being sealed.
Columbia, this is Houston. Go ahead, over.
70 miles up.
Roger, no marks on the left that time. I did see a suspiciously small white object with coordinates burned.
Go ahead with the coordinates on the small white object.
Easy point 37.6, but I'm not sure it's him, and it's right on the southwest rim of a crater. I think they would know it if they were in such a location. It looks like their lamp was just pitched up quite a degree. It's on the southwest wall of a smaller crater.
Roger, copy Echo decimal 3 and 7 decimal 6. And Columbia, this is Houston. While I'm talking to you, LOS will be at 111 19er 31. AOS 112 05 43. Over. Columbia, this is Houston. Did you copy LOS, AOS times? Over.
Copy. AOS. Negative, Houston. You're broken. Disregard. I might cut them off the flight plan.
Roger, out.
And there on our clock, 1 hour, 43 minutes and 45 seconds since they went on to their oxygen supplies from their backpacks. That was before they came out of the spacecraft. The total time they're supposed to be on that special supply before they're reconnected back into the module is only 2 hours and 40 minutes. And at this point, they're running somewhere between 25 and 30 minutes behind schedule. So sometime soon, either the situation will become critical where they have to begin to follow their work, or they'll be given an extension of time.
Reflector that's mounted on
Too much
quad 1
extension
seems
because the oxygen only lasts them 4 hours.
more wrinkled. Right now on quad 4.
You're breaking up again, Buzz.
Breaking up again, Buzz. I say the jet deflector that's mounted on quad 4 seems to be, the surface of it seems to be more wrinkled than the one that's on quad 1. Generally, underneath part of the LEM seems to have stood up quite well to the, we'll get some pictures in the aft part of the LEM that illuminate the thermal effects much better than we could get them up here in the front.
Roger, out.
I want to get some particular photographs of the bulk sample area, Neil.
Okay.
And Houston, Buzz here, I'm showing 3.78 SI. 3%, no flags. Adequate. Light warming fingers.
Roger, and Neil has 66%, O2, no flags, minimum cooling, and the suit pressure is 382.
Houston, roger out.
66% of oxygen left in Neil Armstrong's backpack. That's 1 hour, 46 minutes and 40 seconds on that backpack, breathing that oxygen.
Neil has finished collecting and packing the bulk sample.
Buzz, this is Houston. Have you removed the close-up camera from the mesa you had over?
Negative, thank you. To the panoramic there. Okay.
We're about to take a panoramic photograph.
Got it? Got it. Houston, how does our timeline appear to be going?
Roger, it looks like you're about a half hour slow on it. We're working on consumables, over.
All right.
Neil and Buzz, this is Houston. To clarify my last, your consumables are in good shape at this time. The 30-minute reference was with respect to the nominal timeline, over.
Roger, I understand that.
Neil's been on the surface now slightly over an hour and 20 minutes.
Hey, don't note any abnormalities in the limb. Quads seem to be in good shape. The primary and secondary struts are in good shape. Antennas are all in place. Yep. There's no evidence of problem underneath the LEM due to either the engine exhaust or drainage of any kind.
Roger, Ed.
It's very surprising, very surprising lack of penetration of all four of the foot pads. I'd say if we were to try and determine just how far below the surface they would have penetrated, you'd measure in 2 or 3 inches, wouldn't you say, Neil?
At the most, Joe. That fly strut there is probably even less than that.
All right, great job. I get a picture of the bus-wide strut taken from here at the descent stage, and I think we'll be able to see a little bit better what the ripple effects are. Seem to be quite minimal. Picture taken the right rear of the spacecraft, looking at the skirt of the descent stage. So a slight darkening of the surface color, a rather minimal amount of radiating or etching away or erosion of the surface. So now on descent, both of us remarked that we could see a large amount of very fine dust particles moving out. It was reported beforehand that we would probably see an outgassing from the surface after actual engine shutdown, but I recall I was unable to verify that. Too big an angle, Neil.
Yep. I think you're right.
Five minutes to go to the halfway mark on their oxygen supply. 5 more minutes from now they'll be halfway through the oxygen supplied by those backpacks they were. Still running something between 25 and 30 minutes behind me.
Back at the minus C strut now.
Inspecting.
Stereo pair we're taking to the bed will take very little force of impact that we actually had.
The force of impact was about 2.5 miles an hour as they hit the surface.
Columbia, Columbia, this is Houston.
I noticed that...
Columbia, this is Houston. Go ahead, bud.
Okay. Try to get some closer pictures of that front. I was saying that Houston stop and take a photograph of something and then want to start moving again sideways. There's quite a tendency to start doing it with just gradual sideways hops because you start getting momentum.
Roger.
Can you see us underneath the slam over at the SEQ bay, Houston?
Yes, indeed, Buzz. We can see your feet sticking out underneath the structure of the LEM descent stage.
Okay, I'm just on the other side of the...
Now we can see you through the structure of the minus D secondary strut.
The astronauts continuing their inspection of another
The SEQ bay
We don't necessarily need one high gain, but we're going to lose him
scientific
altogether.
experiments to be left on the surface of the moon. The laser, reflector,
They're open, and it looks like they're going to stay up without any problem.
Open that bay with those instruments too.
Columbia, Columbia, this is Houston. We're about to lose you on the Omnis. Request high gain antenna. React mode. Pitch 20. Yaw 135. Over.
It's 175 flight.
I'm going to pick an area, Neil.
Make that yaw 175. Columbia, yaw 175 on the high gain.
Colonia's locked up on the high gain, Houston.
Roger out.
Sergeant, full flight. Go flight. How you doing? Doing real fine. They're still working below the predicted curve now. EMU flight. Go ahead, flight. How you doing? We're getting an update here in a minute. I'll get it to you in a second. All right.
We're now beginning to remove the two principal experiments that they've taken to the moon, a laser reflector and a device,
the surgeon says everything looks
a
fine.
device for measuring moon sway.
Once again, our mixing valve has worked very nominally. Roger. You might tell Columbia that Capcom. Okay. Yes. He can if he's watching it. He may not be watching it at the time.
An hour and a half of lunar surface time.
Talking to Econ, he says that if Columbia is watching it on board, he can see it. Do you think you ought to tell him about it anyway? Over? No, disregard. Roger.
Houston, the passive seismometer is
And
deployed
2
manually.
hours and a couple of 3 seconds on their oxygen supply from their backpacks. They are now just past the halfway mark in their oxygen supply. And let me remind you that that leaves us here in Britain with just a few seconds to go to 5:30.
They've been on the portable life support systems for 2 hours now.
And the manual deployment of the LR cubed little spring that's at the end of the string pulled off of the pit fin. Now, however, I was able to reach up and get hold of the pit fin and pull it loose. So it'll be deployed manually also.
Roger.
And the panorama is complete, and about the limb 730 position at about 60 feet.
That's Neil Armstrong to the left of the screen. By that.
Doors are closed and locked.
Roger.
Hey, have you got us a good area picked out? Well, I think right out on that rise out there is probably as good as any.
And it's 5:30 for those of you who may just have tuned in. You're watching man's first outside broadcast.
Probably stay on the high ground there.
Live television pictures of the lunar module as it sits in the Sea of Tranquility. With the two astronauts now standing on the other side of the lunar module, pulling out the two experiments that they're going to leave on the surface of the moon when they come back to Earth. They've been on their oxygen supply now for 2 hours, 2 minutes and 46 seconds. That's just over half the supply of oxygen gone. They're running about 30 minutes behind schedule.
You on the right carrying the two experiments.
There goes
40 feet out. I'd say out to the end of that next... Well, it's going to be a little difficult to find a good level spot here.
There goes Buzz Aldrin just disappearing out of the picture on the right, carrying the two experiments.
Wouldn't that be a pretty good place?
Solid now there.
when I put the LRQ beam in here. All right.
You can just see Armstrong.
And, I'm going to have to get on the other side of this rock here.
Aldrin's voice is putting down the laser experiment.
I would go right around that crater to the left there. Isn't that a level spot there? I think this right here is just as level. Okay.
Aldrin out of the picture to the right now being watched and approached by Armstrong, who's just going out of the picture now.
And they will be out of the camera's field of view while setting up these experiments.
They're about 50 feet out from the little module. These two experiments they're putting down, the laser reflector.
The boulders look like basalt, and they have probably 2% white minerals in them, white crystals. And the thing that I reported as vesicular before, I don't believe I believe that anymore. I think it's small craters. They look like little impact craters where BB shot has hit the surface.
Houston, I have the seismic experiment flipped over now, and I'm aligning it with the sun. I'm having a little bit of difficulty getting the beep still in the center. Wants to move around and around on the outside. Doesn't find any spot, any home.
You're cutting out again, Buzz.
Finishing placing the two experiments.
I haven't had too much success in leveling the PSE experiment.
That's the moonquake detector he's talking about. Out of the picture on the right, both astronauts now tending to putting these two experiments down on the ground. One to reflect a laser beam back from Earth, the other to measure moonquakes. That moonquake detector will work for about 2 years after they return to Earth.
The laser reflector is installed, and the bubble's level, and the alignment appears to be good.
Neil, this is Houston. Roger, out.
The laser reflector is now in place.
You want to take a look at this BB, see what you make out of it?
I found it pretty hard to get perfectly level, too.
That BB likes the outside. It won't go on the inside.
That little cup is convex now instead of concave.
I think you're right.
I believe it is.
Houston, I don't think there's any hope of using this leveling device to come up with an accurate level. It looks to me as though the cup here that the BB is in is now convex instead of concave, over.
Roger, 11. Press on. If you think it looks level by eyeball, go ahead.
Okay.
This is telling them to get ahead, presumably because they are so far behind schedule. This obviously doesn't want them to get into any kind of marginal situation.
What we're discussing is on a leveling device on the passive seismometer.
That's the moonquake device. That's the seismometer.
One going, huh? There you go. Good work. Show. Hey, whoa, stop. Back up.
Houston, as I was facing the PSE, the right-hand solar array deployed automatically. The left hand, I had to manually training bar at the far end. And all parts of the solar array are clear of the ground now.
Buzz, this is Houston. Understand you did successfully deploy both solar arrays, over?
Roger, that's affirmative.
Solar arrays are the solar panels on an experiment to pick up power from the sun's rays.
And there isn't any way of telling whether that's lined up, not getting in the way. Maybe I can get down here. Now that appears to be pointing.
Neil, this is Houston, over.
Neil, this is Houston, over.
Hey, go ahead, Houston.
Roger, we've been looking at your consumables, and you're in good shape. Subject to your concurrence, we'd like to extend the duration of the EVA 15 minutes from nominal. We will still give Buzz a hack at 10 minutes prior for heading in. Your current elapsed time is 2 plus 12, over.
Okay, that sounds fine.
Roger, out.
That 212 is the time expended on the PLSS.
This is Houston. If you're still in the vicinity of the PSE, could you get a photograph of the ball level, over?
That's taken up to 2 hours, 55 minutes.
Right, I'll go photograph
At the moment, as you see there, 2
that.
hours.
What time would you estimate we could allow for the documented sample, over?
Reorganizing the program now. Fitting with this new change in time. 15 extra minutes on the set.
Oh, shoot. I believe the ball is right in the middle now.
Wonderful. Take a picture before it moves.
They've managed to get one of the experiments absolutely level.
Neil, this is Houston. We're estimating about 10 minutes for the documented sampling, over. Columbia, this is Houston, over.
Columbia, this is Houston, over.
Go ahead, Houston, Columbia.
Roger, I'd like you to terminate charging battery Bravo at 111 plus 15, over.
Coming out right now.
Roger. Buzz, this is Houston. You've got about 10 minutes left now prior to commencing your EVA termination activities, over.
Termination activities, over.
Roger, I understand.
Those activities are done first by Aldrin and then following him, Armstrong. They include wiping their suits and feet and climbing back up into the lunar module. So they're going to have to hurry to pick up the rocks for which most of this mission was meant. Documented rock samples are perhaps the most important thing that they have to bring back.
Tranquility Base, this is Houston. The passive seismic experiment has been uncaged, and we're observing short period oscillations in it. Over.
The Moonwalk apparently beginning to give results already immediately. Detecting minor oscillations in the moon's surface.
Neil Armstrong has been on the surface now about an hour and 50 minutes. In the foreground, Buzz Aldrin is collecting a core tube sample.
I hope you're watching how hard I have to hit this into the ground to the tune of about 5 inches, Houston.
Roger.
The hollow core of that tube is now filled with subsoil.
It almost looks wet.
Got it. Sample.
Wait a minute. Yeah, cut the cable again.
Neil and Buzz, this is Houston. We'd like you to...
Turn right. Turn to your right.
They caught up in the television camera cable.
Not quite.
Neil, this is Houston. We'd like you all to get 2 core tubes and the solar wind experiment. 2 core tubes and the solar wind, over.
Houston hurrying them along there.
Just
Solar wind experiment still standing there, just to the right of the leftmost leg of the lunar module. Like a tall, thin, grey shape you can just see there.
The core tubes provide material.
get the next one. Maybe you can turn away the box a little bit.
They still haven't begun to collect the rock.
Yeah, I'll take care of it.
Two hours, 21.5 minutes gone on the oxygen from their backpack. Maximum time of that oxygen 4 hours.
Buzz, this is Houston. You have approximately 3 minutes until you must commence your EVA termination activities. Over.
Roger, understand.
They still haven't collected the rocks, and they have 3 minutes.
Columbia, this is Houston. Approximately 1 minute to LOS. Over.
1 minute. Columbia, Roger.
Houston,
Do you plan on commencing your sleep on the backside this pass? If so, we'll disable uplink to you while we're talking to the LEM. Over.
Negative that.
Houston, were you able to record in a documentary way where the two samples were taken?
Negative.
Now, I didn't get a stereo pair of those groups, but they're right in the vicinity of the solar wind.
Neil, this is Houston. After you've got the core tubes and the solar wind, anything else that you can throw into the box would be acceptable.
I do.
I'm assuming they haven't had a documented sample collection of rocks because they haven't talked about them as they picked them up. That was the plan. As they picked up each rock from the rock collection, they would describe it, photograph it, and then put it in a separate file. They don't seem to have done that yet.
I got the cap.
Got the cap?
They're both good caps on them.
Okay.
And you want to pick up some stuff, and I'll
Get these aseptic ones.
throw the solar wind in.
Really hurrying now.
Buzz Aldrin retrieving the solar wind experiment.
So now to pick up what he can. And they're really hurrying.
Buzz, this is Houston. It's about time for you to start your EVA closeout activities.
Roger.
They've been on their life support system. On their life support systems, 2 hours and 25 minutes. Neil appears to be picking up rocks to the right of the screen.
Neil and Buzz, this is Houston. I'd like to remind you of the close-up camera magazine before you start up the ladder, Buzz.
Okay. Got that over with you, Neil?
Now that close-up camera's underneath the mesa, I'll have to pick it up with the phone. And I'm picking up several pieces of really vesicular rock out here now.
You didn't get anything in those environmental samples, did you?
Not yet.
I don't think we'll have time.
Roger, Neil and Buzz. Let's press on with getting the close-up camera magazine and closing out of the sample return container. You're running a little low on time.
Roger.
We want to keep a good margin in those portable life support systems.
I'm now rapidly running out to the point where mission control will force them to return.
Okay, can you quickly stick this in my pocket, Neil, and I'll head on up the ladder. I'll hold it. You open the pocket up. Well, that fella. Okay, just hold it right there. Okay, let the pocket go. Stop close. Got it. Okay. Adios, amigos. Hey. Anything more before I head on up, Bruce?
Negative. Head on up the ladder, Buzz. Head on up. Buzz.
Aldrin heading up the ladder now 19 minutes and 29 seconds late. Later than planned. Mission control obviously very loath to let them go into any kind of possible marginal situation with their officers.
That white dot right above the horizon on the right is a phosphorus spot from the TV converter in the Park Station in Australia.
Aldrin back into the lunar module.
How you coming, Neil? Okay. Did you get the solar wind rolled up there? Right, that's it right there. Okay. I think you can reach this hut that's hanging over here. You might entertain the idea of sending up the second one that way. Okay. Get the film off of that. Oh well. That up now.
Sounds as if they're now sending back up the camera magazine. Film camera magazine.
Okay, I'm heading on in. Okay. And I'll get the LEC already for the rock box.
Aldrin's about to set up the pulley system. With which they send the stuff back up into the lunar module.
Neil's been on the surface a few minutes longer than 2 hours. Buzz, approximately 20 minutes less than that.
on Monday, July 21st. If you just switched on, good morning, you're looking at the moon. You're looking at Neil Armstrong as he's working at the bottom there of the steps of the lunar module. Armstrong stepped out on the moon at 4 minutes to 4. Aldrin joined him just over 19 minutes later. The live pictures they've been sending have been remarkably good. If you missed them, we'll show them to you again and recorded later on. The voices you hear are those of Armstrong mainly, and Aldrin, who's now just gone back inside the lunar module.
How you doing, Buzz? I'm okay. Ready to send it up the LEC? Yeah, just about.
Samples are now obviously back in with the magazines, two magazines, and they're about to send back up a pulley rope or lanyard that they've been using to transfer the stuff back up from the lunar surface up through the door to Aldrin's hand back in the room.
Okay, that's got it clear.
Transferring the sample containers into the LEM cabin now.
Uh-oh. Camera came off. I mean, the film pack came off.
They're just almost off the picture on the right is Armstrong holding out tight the pulley system, the rope, transferring materials back up into the lunar module. Aldrin back into the lunar module now.
All right, they just ease it down now. Don't pull so hard on it. All right, let it go. You're getting that. I've got to get this camera. Okay, this one's in, no problem. Okay, stand by a second.
Neil, this is Houston. Request an EMU check, over.
Roger, got 3.8. And I got 54 on the O2 and no flags. And my flow is in.
It's 4% copies up from the left. And that's without going into the 30-minute emergency oxygen, which he has in a separate container on top of the backpack.
The observatory in California reports a return on the laser experiment.
Laser experiment there being tested from Earth for the first time. Reflects back a laser beam from Earth. Armstrong still working there.
For your information, your consumables remain in good shape, Dad.
Consumables, oxygen, power for heating and cooling.
Okay, I've got one side hooked up to the second box, and I got the fuel bag on. Okay, good.
Armstrong still busy getting the boxes of rock ready to transfer up to Aldrin.
That build from on the LEC has kind of fallen all over me while I'm doing this. Well, that's it, huh? It looks like down here. I think my watch stopped, Neil. Hit it. No, it didn't either. Second hand.
Armstrong looks as if Armstrong is there with another box of rock samples.
Okay, if you can just kind of hold it, well, I think I can do the pulling. Okay.
Just in his hand, and there it goes, moving up towards the lunar module behind the flag.
Stand by a minute, let me move back. Okay, easy. All right, easy on the hatch now. Okay, I'll get it the rest of the way. Okay. And I'll give it to you to go away just a second. Have a little more.
Two hours, 40 minutes on the PLSSs.
Who are putting oxygen used from their backpack. Aldrin's back in the lunar module, but he's still on his backpack because the hatch is open.
Okay, it's unhooked. How about that package out of your sleeve? Get that? No. Okay, I'll get it. I get up there.
Armstrong appearing there from the right again.
Go in it now? That's all. Okay? Okay.
Looks as if he's climbing back up into the lunar module. Or he's just about to.
Neil, this is Houston. Did you get the Hasselblad magazine?
Yes, I did. And we got about, I'd say 20 pounds of carefully selected, if not documented, samples.
Houston, roger. Well done. Out.
In the second box.
Pounds of rock. I think the mission aim was
Unofficial time off the surface, 1:11, 37:32.
Now start arching your back. That's good. Plenty of room.
Aldrin,
Right, arch your back a little, your head.
Aldrin is guiding Armstrong back in, through the door.
Roll right just a little bit. There you go. And then
in good shape.
Thank you. I'm bumping now.
Now you're clear. You're rubbing up against me a little bit.
Okay.
Turn right. That's right. Turn to the left. Okay. Now move your foot and I'll get the hatch.
Okay.
Both of them back in the lunar module now. After a total of 2 hours, 20
Okay, the
minutes,
hatch is closed and latched.
and now begin to repressurize. And for those of you who may have missed it, as far as I could hear,
And verified secure.
Armstrong's first words on the surface of the moon were, "It's one small step for man."
Now we close the feed water valve.
Cliff is telling me that he heard then, but a leap for
And I got
mankind.
surface antenna suit.
It's one small step for man, but a leap for mankind.
Okay, feed water valves closed. And your antenna's out. Okay.
What am I bumping into? Okay. That's out. Now we snap the good night button. Okay.
The hatch is closed. Both men are inside, still in their pressure suits. Now they have to repressurize the catch.
ahead. You're cutting out, Neil. You're not readable. I understand you said something about contingency sample container on the SN engine. We're not reading you, Neil. Buzz, buzz. This is Houston. Do you read over?
Trouble with communications back in the middle.
Tranquility Base. This is Houston. We're reading neither one of you, but standing by.
View of the lunar module alone on the surface with 2 men inside. And the American flag standing just slightly to the right.
Cabin pressure coming up about 2.789 pounds. Up to 3 now. PSI now.
front of that the American flag which they planted and by which they stood as President Nixon congratulated them on a direct telephone call from the White House to the Sea of Tranquility on the Moon. The lunar module now alone, the hatch is closed, they're back inside the lunar module, repressurizing the cabin, and then they'll get ready to take their suits off. And in not many minutes from now, we expect them to turn off the television camera, and when they do, for those of you who have only just joined us, we will replay these pictures from the beginning.
Houston, that's beautiful. This has got to be one of the most proud moments of my life, I guarantee you.